Okay, so the next thing they want us to do is baste the raw edges together. You can do that, but I find it to be a colossal waste of time. So instead, I'm going to put it on. I've pressed it well enough. It feels like one piece. Maybe, I'll find the spot it can separate right here and pin it so it can't separate. But other than that, I'm not going to make you do extra steps. In manufacturing, they don't do a whole lot of basting. Okay, so there's that. The next thing they want us to do is to clip, pin collar to the neck edge, clipping garment neck edge where necessary. Baste, keeping pressed edge free. All right, so let me show you what that means. Instead of pinning it and pressing it, and clipping it at the same time, let's just clip it. We know it needs to be clipped, so let's just clip it. So in this corner, we know this corner's tight. So we're going to just clip. Cutting to, not through. What happens when I clip this? I should have shown you. Okay, so I'm going to show you right here. I've got this straight thing. I've got to sew it to this curved thing, right? Not going to work because I can't straighten that out. But the minute I clip it, just all the way around. Now, notice the clips are big, so my tick marks are still there because they're little. Don't clip your tick mark. Now I can straighten it out and pin it to the collar. So, go back here. Make sure you don't cut the blouse underneath. Alright, so now this can all straighten out, right? Instead of being curved. That's why we clip it. You remember doing that in your princess scene. Alright, so now they want me to pin this so that it can be sewn. So the first thing I do is find my center mark and my center mark. Somebody's trying to get in. Pin that. I'm going to pin it on this side because I always sew on the side of the clips. This mark, see my seam allowance, my shoulder mark? That goes to that tick mark. So remember, the tick mark is marking a triangle. That's 5/8 in. I put this seam allowance right at that mark at 5/8. Okay? Okay. So now I just pin a couple things in between. Next thing that happens. See my notch? Matches up with my notch, right? Guess what? I got 2 notches. Put them together. See? I wrapped it around the back, pinning that. Fold, check it out. When I did that, look how it folds right on the what? Fold line. Okay, see? And unfold this, straighten it out, and this edge, see this edge of the collar? That should line up to that dot, which is right there at that tick mark. There it is in there, see? Right there. So I got a perfect fit on this side. And notice, I got to have my seam allowance matching the edge of that seam allowance on both sides all the way down. Okay? This is the hardest part of the shirt. So just slow down and do it right. All right, so now this, where I just, no, this is harder. This is where I folded this. This needs to line up right. See where that is? That little L shape? This needs to line up right there. The sleeves are better because you get to do 2. You don't cut it before you sew it, which means if you screw them up, you could take it back out. This gets kind of funky after the second time. You need to do it right the first time. And it's also not a princess seam. You're sewing something almost the shape of a plate, that much of a circle to something straight. The other time we did something shaped like this to something straight. This time, it's almost a circle, and we're pulling it out straight and sewing it together. And then at the other point is that this has to wrap around it. So there's an underside we can't see as we're sewing. So we have to make sure everything is lined up exactly where it goes. So look, I'm matching this. Remember, when I have a tick mark like this, the real spot is 5/8 in. So I put the seam right there at 5/8 in. Okay? Line that up. Make sure all these little flippy things go that way, that none are curling back up. Right here, remember I have to keep this open. Can you see in the picture how I was telling you to keep that open? So I'm not sewing that. Now my notch, I stupidly cut it in half. So I'm going to take this half of it, put it there. Take the other notch, put them together, wrapped around. Now, a lot of people hand in blouses where they've allowed that to sink down in there like that. See how I'm allowing the curve to go like that? Not the right thing to do. Hold this and pull it straight so that the seam allowances line up. Okay, make sure you do that. Also, here's my tick mark. It landed right on the fold line. See, there's the fold line. And there's the tick mark. I'll show you what that means later when we open it back up. So, pin this. Now flip it over, and I have to solidify this side. I need this. Now look, this is just folded and pressed. See how it's not lining up? Watch this magic. Push it till it does. Okay? You get that power when you're doing this. I don't like how this is curving and dropping, so I cut the crap out of it. But let's pretend like that's just really not. Cut it again. Now all of a sudden it'll straighten out. Okay? Make it straight. And keep 5/8 the entire way down. Okay? So now it's time to sew it if I've got time, and my thread just came out.